Aloha! Well, it's been a little while since I bothered to start things off by picking and grinning, so I thought I'd take the opportunity today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I did. That was the old Green Garden theme. Been around a while. So today what I'd like to discuss is what's it like to live in Hawaii? I get that question a lot. I mean, it comes from various ways, very few people ask what the scenery's like or how's the weather there, but, I want to know what's the crime rate, what's the cost of things there, and blah, blah, blah. There's a whole lot of different questions I get related to what's it like. First thing first. Paradise is a state of mind. Hawaii is a state of the union, just like any other. Now, we do like to call it paradise here because we make all our money on tourism, and it's a great sales pitch, come on down to paradise. But, that's really, it's all in the head. As far as that's concerned, you can be in hell anywhere, and including Kansas, and you can be in hell in Hawaii, or you can be in paradise in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa, that's hard to do, but starting on that note, what I decided I'd do this time, rather than speaking from so much of my personal experience on this subject, I thought I'd just go out there and Google on the internet and come up with some statistics for what they're worth, right? Because these are all studies. You ask this group or that group, and you get, depending on what study you're looking at, when it was done and how they did it, you get all kinds of stuff come up. But most of what I came up with pretty much seem really to reflect what I thought I knew. So these figures seem pretty valid. So here we go. I would like to start off with Hawaii, according to the latest study by Wallet Hub. There's quite a few studies out there by these guys. That Hawaii is the happiest state of the Union. Stands to reason, and from my point of view, this is the Aloha state, and that's kind of what that's all about. It's also a place where we believe in Ohana, which is taking care of each other. There's a lot of support here, and I think that helps people be happy. There's a lot of support. The neighbors even often, will come by to help. I find this is so true. And it rubs off on me too. People like to talk story here. And people offer information, just stories, advice, and so forth freely all the time. People talk to each other here. It's not like where I grew up in Chicago where it's dangerous to talk to somebody, or where I lived for years in San Francisco where it's kind of cold, people sort of ignore you. I was a little surprised to find out what number 2 and number 3 happiest states were, and so I found out that Utah ranks as the number 2 happiest state. Now, they do have some beautiful country, but my guess is Mormons are happier than other people. Utah's, a huge population of Mormons there. But number 3, happiest state of the Union. Now check this out. Maybe here, I'll tell you what. Let's have a contest. Who can guess by the shirt Bill's wearing what number 3 is? This is in honor of the state of Minnesota. This is a Minnesota Hawaiian I've got on here. It's a very rare shirt, all right? Don't find many of these. But yeah, this is a Minnesota Aloha. It's to honor the number 3 happiest state in the United States of America. Yeah, you betcha, It's like Garrison Keillor had something going in Lake Wobegon, right? Tell with you. Anyway, I thought that was pretty special that Minnesota is the number 3 happiest state of the Union with all that snow and everything. They must be, who knows, good fishing, yeah, eh? Mm-hmm. Must be the ice fishing does it for them. Before we pass along under Hawaii being the happiest state of the Union, West Virginia is 50th. People in West Virginia are really, really unhappy, according to the study by Wallet Hub. So much for that. I'll say no more. Yeah, so then I decided, well, let's see if people are happy there. How about being healthy in Hawaii? So I Googled that one, and sure enough, Hawaii is the healthiest state in the United States of America. Now, there are probably a number of reasons why that is. Well, to begin with, the weather here is so great that most of us are outdoors all the time. You know, we don't get cabin fever and stuff like that. We're out surfing, we're scuba diving on the reefs, we're feeding the sharks, you know, we're out chasing lava flows around, or whatever we do here, you know. But yeah, that and we hula. This is probably good for you too. Anyway, Hawaii is the healthiest state of the union. People here live longer than they do in all the other states. The weather is not stressful generally here. I think that's a big part of it. The diet in Hawaii, well, take your pick. A local moco, I don't know if a local moco, which, of course, if those of you who don't know what a local moco is, that's a bowl, big bowl full of rice, right? Then they stick a hamburger on top. Then they pour brown gravy all over it. And then they flip a fried egg over the top of it, you know. Maybe they even put Spam in there. So it's not exactly considered to be the healthiest food on earth. On the other hand, we all eat a whole lot of poke, which is, you know, raw local tuna fish, ahi tuna. It's good stuff. We have a lot of Japanese influence in the diet, and the Japanese diet is known to be good for people. There you go. We're the happiest state of the union, number one, and we're the healthiest state of the union. Not all the statistics look great here. People often ask me frequently, I hear it's really expensive there. And, according to the study I looked up, we are the most expensive state to live in. A variety of reasons why that is. Now, bear in mind, a lot of these studies are done on Honolulu, on Oahu. That's the big city here. And so, in the case of expense, most of the houses around Honolulu these days are cresting around $1 million a piece. So that right there. And for sure, the energy here, whether it be gasoline or electricity, is really expensive. The highest in the U.S. The hairy gas tax to begin with, you know. I'd like to make a point. Yeah, and I think it's valid. It really is. So often when we talk about expenses, you know, people say, well, isn't it expensive to live there? And I'll say, well, hell, I don't know. I lived in California before I moved here, which it rates like, number 2 or 3. It's one of the most expensive states in the union to live in, too. Coming between California and Hawaii, I didn't hardly notice any difference. The gas is more here. Yeah, and I pay more for electricity here. There's some things are definitely higher, but it's not that much different. And I'm here from California because real estate is cheaper here than it is in California. That was the main reason I'm here in Puna, was it cost me less. If we take in consideration the first two statistics, we are the happiest and we are the healthiest, but we're also the most expensive. This is what I keep saying, go figure, that people say, well, I can't live in that place. The cost of living's too high. I'm going to go live in Kansas City where it's cheap, And I mean, I've been in Kansas City. It's not a bad place. Madison, Wisconsin, where my sons live, tends to rate pretty well as far as, how much you make and what you can have and so on. Is a very good trade-off there. And Madison is, it's a pretty nice city. It's not bad. It's got a good culture and so on, but I don't know. I mean, it's they get the worst weather. Oh God, the weather's terrible there, and so on. And I don't like shoveling snow anymore. I did that for too long. So if we consider we're in the most expensive state to live in, but we're the happiest and the healthiest, what is that telling you? What it tells me is that most places that have really high costs of living are also the most desirable places to live in. That's one of the main reasons the cost of living is so high. Everybody wants to be here, So we'll make that equation that, generally speaking, high cost of living in areas actually is one of the more desirable areas you can live in. I pay little attention to it. Wherever you live, whatever it costs to live there is what it costs to live. People who were thinking from like Madison, Wisconsin, cost of living could not visualize living under the costs that we have here in Hawaii. Yet, on the other hand, once you get here, and if you get Alzheimer's and forget about Madison, as long as you stop looking outward someplace saying, well, it's cheaper there, it doesn't matter. It just costs what it costs. It is what it is, You adjust yourself. You adjust. You don't burn as much gas here, I'll tell you that. This is a great place to have electric cars with solar collectors on the roof. And you're going to get by some of the more expensive parts of living here if you do buy yourself an electric car and run it off photovoltaics on your roof. We have chargers here around Hilo and so on, so you can plug in over at Target if you want to and so on, if you have an electric car. And if you do that, then all of a sudden a lot of the cost of life here falls out because energy is one of the big ones here. Now, this one is really at the crux, at the core of most of the questions I get. There's a lot of... I don't know if it's true to it or whatever, but there's a lot of people who at least feel that Hawaii is crime infested, that it's a very dangerous state in that regard, and so on. And just my personal experience with this is that my feelings are that's a load of bull. It really is. I don't know how that reputation comes about. I think this happens because of tourists. Hawaii is what I like to call it, America's most dangerous Disneyland. Okay, everybody comes here from all over the world to just, go out and boogie in the surf or go dive with the sharks, swim with the dolphins, and do all this crazy stuff that actually in a lot of places you may not even be allowed to do, really. But yeah, we come here and we get loose, people come here on vacation and so you forget to lock the car, or you leave the laptop sitting on the seat, or you do something like this one way or another that really does attract the cockroaches. And I think the amount of tourism here is one reason that we have a reputation for having cockroaches around, because there are guys that will pick your pockets in Honolulu, You can get rolled, especially in the big city. We get crime here in Puna too. It's very rural here, but we have crime. Every once in a while someone shoots somebody else. There's certainly crimes of passion here. Half the time when I find out that somebody got plugged again, it's because, hey, it was with my wife or whatever. There's a lot of that. And there's a lot of petty theft here. There is quite a bit, actually. But that said, according to this, Hawaii is the 8th safest state of the union to live in. All right, so that kind of flies in the face of some of the statistics or some of the beliefs about how rough it is. And again, that was another Wallet Hub survey that claims that, and it's based on the number of assaults. That's where they get this from. Now, unfortunately, though, for the state of Minnesota, you guys might be pretty darn happy, but wow, in Minnesota, apparently it's number 31. It's apparently pretty easy to get assaulted in Minnesota, according to this study. So much for my Aloha Minnesota shirt here, but yeah, I don't know why that is, but we are the 8th safest state. So there's a pretty good chance wherever you live, it's actually safer to live here. We are, though, 22nd in crime. Yeah, and so, it depends on how you read these statistics and what you're assessing. The 8th safest was because of assaults. There are just not that many of them here. So you're physically not usually in too much danger while you're here in Hawaii. But as far as crime is concerned, we are 22nd. Well, that's, I got 50 states. So That means, as far as crime is concerned in Hawaii, we are above the midline. So we're in the top half of the U.S. So more than half of the states that y'all live in out there are a whole lot more crime-ridden than Hawaii is. So much for this idea that there's a lot of crime here. It's not paradise, folks. It's a state of the union, and stuff happens here too. Although, again, paralleling the idea that it's the eighth safest state, we're only 10th in homicides. Okay, so when it comes to getting killed, we're the 10th from the top. In violent crimes, which means you could get punched out or hit in the head with a beer bottle, we're 21st. Now, again, bear in mind that this is including and mostly does study Honolulu. All right, so there's a whole lot that goes on over there. That is a big city, just like New York, like Chicago, like LA. And it has all of the problems that those big cities have. All right, and so being 21st in violent crime, I guess, is not too weird. It means it's better than most places, but not as good as some. The one that hits pretty hard, though, and that so much, I believe, has to do with cost of living here, and burglary. We're 32nd. Not so good at burglary. All right, that's really where a lot of the crime here is based on. Whether it was, you get your purse burgled out of your car, you get your wallet picked, or whatever. That's what that reflects, and a lot of that really is associated to the tourist trade and the cockroaches that prey on tourists who are, distracted, looking at their smartphone, trying to figure out where they are by GPS, and all of a sudden, smartphone's gone. The guy's running. Yeah, that happens a lot, especially on the streets of Honolulu. Here in Hilo, I don't know. Hilo's not nearly that bad. I couldn't find a statistic for Hilo alone. I should say I didn't look for one. But my impression of hanging around Hilo, shopping there all the time, is it's a pretty safe place to be. That's my impression of it. Okay, so now I've, buffed on how happy and healthy we are here, but I go to the other end of the pole, right? So it's not all roses or hibiscus or pikaki here in Hawaii. Hawaii is the worst state of the union to drive in. And I don't know. Again, it depends on what are the parameters they use for doing these studies. All right, and so I'll break that down in a minute. Now, me having come from California Bay Area, I had to deal with the commute over there, and wow, driving in the Bay Area is disgusting. It's terrible. I don't know how dangerous it is, but it'll drive you crazy after a while. It's such a relief to be here on this island. I mean, we don't have any freeways. Not here. Now, when I tune in the news in the morning and they do the traffic report and they show Honolulu, the gridlock and the road rage and stuff over there looks as bad as it did in Los Angeles or in the Bay Area. They have terrible traffic in Honolulu. It's not good at all. The Big Island's a whole other story. The Kota side is pretty congested. The roads are not as well built as they are on this side, and they got a lot of tourists that pile into some areas. And so, the west side is worse as far as driving is concerned than the east side. But then the east side gets a lot of rain. And this is another factor that has to do with Hawaiian driving, because sometimes the weather conditions can turn on you. Boy, it'll come down. It's possible to get 6 inches of rain in an hour in this place. That does happen, So we are the worst state of the union to drive in, and this is though based on that we are the bottom of the pile as far as vehicular repair costs. Again, we're talking about Honolulu predominantly. I have some guys here in Hilo that I've chosen to do work for us on our cars, and I think they do pretty good work for a fairly reasonable price, is my opinion. But, it's so much about Hawaii. It depends on where do you go. Yeah, so much. It's very important that you know where to go. And so that's why tourists see the worst part of this, because they don't know where to go. And so they usually see the first place in line. Well, that's usually the worst one, frankly. But we do have some guys here that'll service on this island for reasonable cost. But overall, Hawaii is the worst place in the country for the cost to get your car fixed. All right. We are 45th for traffic. That's about right when you consider Honolulu. Okay, because Honolulu is terrible when it comes to driving there. But we are the 10th best for safety on the highway. A few reasons, I think, why some of that is that at least on the other islands, I don't know about downtown Honolulu, but on most of these islands here, people don't tend to drive very fast. And they do tend to drive, at least here on this island, with aloha. Live aloha, drive with aloha. Yeah. That, and like I said, you can't get over 50 miles an hour on most of this island anyway. There are a lot of curvy roads, and there's big mountains here, and we have huge canyons and ravines with waterfalls and things in them, that if you happen to slip in the rain and drive off of the side of the bridge, whoa, that's a heck of a fall down to the bottom of that valley. So there are some circumstances here that do make driving, kind of scary. That, and it is, at least this island is not well lit at night. Oh boy, I highly recommend you don't do much driving at night in Hawaii. Then we're 40th in access to repair. So a lot of the statistic for Hawaii does base itself on cost of repair and access to a shop, getting the parts, getting it done, and so on. So it's one of the worst places, I guess, in the U.S. to own a car. Plus the gas is really expensive here, highest in the U.S. So anything related to a car here, it's not good. It's not really very good. Although we don't have a lot of lethal accidents. There's a lot of accidents here, and I don't have the statistic, but Hawaii does rate pretty bad with fender benders. But these are pretty much all low-speed type accidents. They have to do with weather conditions and crowding of the roads in Honolulu and so on. So that part of it is not good, but yet lethal accidents, or that is, am I going to survive on the road here in Hawaii? Well, we're 10. It's not bad. That leaves 40 more states where it's a lot more dangerous to drive anyway. Then I decided to take a look and find out about what we call quality of life, because I generally find quality of life here to be pretty good. Now, this is an odd bundle of things, all right? And so to figure this one out, what they did was they looked at how is the healthcare system. Well, Hawaii rates number 1. I guess that figures with the fact that we're the healthiest state in the Union. Now, there'll be a lot of people here on the Big Island that are going to argue with me over that one. It's not bad, but when we don't have what we need here on this island, most of our insurance programs will actually fly us to Honolulu. They fly Ellen over to Honolulu for dermatologist appointments, and I don't remember what else, a couple of doctors that we don't really have very good ones right here on this island. So they will send you to Honolulu. And so Honolulu's medical facilities are really excellent. So, it balances. You may have to do a bit of traveling, or sometimes you have to do a bit of waiting when it comes to healthcare too, because a lot of these guys rotate. Nevertheless, the healthcare system is number 1 as far as the statistics I looked up. And quality of life, they consider Hawaii to be number 3 in the Union for internet access. Of course, there's West Virginia, and they're 50th. They didn't say how Minnesota was for internet access. I don't know. A thing where they insisted on getting all the rural areas connected here, and so recently they did run fiber optic even back into some of the real far back boondock subdivisions and stuff here on the island. Now we're 14th in education. Now, there's a variety of different sets of statistics. It depends, but that is based on how many people actually have degrees and how many people actually graduate, especially from high school, but also from college. And so graduation from college in particular here is good. And we do have an awful lot of fairly educated people. I mean, the Big Island is is a mecca for international astronomers, for instance. You don't become an astronomer without that. When the University of Manoa is actually rated as one of the #1 universities in the United States of America. It's certainly really good if you want to do studies in agriculture and some of the environmental sciences, and particularly in marine biology and aquaculture. Here in Hilo, we've got one of the best aquaculture programs at the university in the country. The instructor's from Israel, and he's really good. So, education, not bad. We're not bad as far as that's concerned. On the other hand, though, we're 49th for business environment. In other words, it's expensive and difficult and a lot of permits and regulations and things to set up businesses here in many cases. Although, I think it's one of the sweeter places in the U.S. for small farmers. Okay, the state pushes the idea of sustainable agriculture here and independence, because we're so far away, from other places. We have to ship so much food in that they really are kind of pushing on trying to get the islands to be self-reliant on their own food production. So if you happen to be a farmer, I am. Oh, you get the good side of the law. Oh boy, we got some beauty stuff for that. But if you're trying to open a donut shop, though, you may find it more difficult than in most states. So for 49th is not a good figure. They also say that we're 48th for road quality. So that goes back to driving here again. So 48th and 49th there on those two. And we are 50th in the entire union for electrical costs. I had mentioned that earlier, that the cost of electricity here is really, really high. And so you take 50th in electrical costs, 49th in business environment, and 48th in road quality. But then you have to balance it against #1 in healthcare, #3 in internet access, 14th in education. And so we come up 17th in the union for the quality of life. So we are, again, way over the top there is from the midline. So it's a better quality of life here in general. Now, of course, I have my own ways of rating what I consider to be quality of life here. In my mind, the weather that we have here to begin with definitely is quality of life. The scenery is obviously good, and everybody comes here for the beauty. I love looking out my picture windows in the morning, watching the sunrise right over the Pacific Ocean and looking to where the earth curves over. It does something for me every morning. It brings me in contact with the fact that, yes, I am here on this planet. Yes, there's a star out there. Yes, we're rotating, I'm in the middle of the ocean too, because I can look off to the east as far as I want to, and I can't see anything out there but water. I guess that could drive some people crazy. I like it. I enjoy the fact that we're out here isolated like this. It does create a specific culture here that you won't find in most of the rest of the United States of America. And it does have a bit to do with quality of life. The concept of aloha, which has so many meanings really, but in general it's an acceptance. It's a greeting too. Aloha is a way of loving things too. There's a respect involved in it. It's a very complicated concept that really means an awful lot here. But on this island, there's a lot of it. It really exists. It's a real force. Okay, I don't know. Some of the more densely populated areas, I think people get more road rage and there's less aloha. But here, lifestyle's pretty laid back. Things are fairly slow. We like to talk story. Well, kick back and stop doing whatever we were doing to hang out and talk to the neighbor for a while, you know. Neighbor ran out of limes for a party the other night, and he wanted to make margaritas, right? They get party, big margarita thing, and oh my goodness, he ran out of limes. So what's he do? Hey, calls me up. Hey, you got limes? Yeah, I got limes. You know, the last time I got my car stuck in the front yard in the mud, he brought a four-wheel drive tractor over and helped pull me out. He got the tractor stuck in the process. Well, you know, it's this kind of cooperation between people that live here, because we know we live on an island and we can't always rely on things out there. You know, it can take a long time for a barge full of new blue jeans to make it here to the island even, you know. We're isolated, and so we do tend to try to take care of each other, at least the best of us do, and that's what we call ohana. Ohana is the idea that people are inclusive in a family. You don't get that other places, I'm telling you. And it wasn't described in any of the surveys I ran across, but for me, it's one of the best things about being here. Now, I know people who aren't used to it, who come from other places, probably don't really notice it too much or visualize it. They probably notice people are friendly. That we usually hear, yeah. But I don't think they understand that it's actually culturally ingrained, and there's a really good reason why it is. It's due to the isolation and our dependence on each other here, and more immediately, you know, for my ideas, you know, the people here believe in Malama Aina, you know, that's the loving of the land. The loving of the land. We all know, man, you screw up the environment here, and you not only might not even be able to live on the islands anymore. If you do that, you have to take care of your nest. And this is cultural, again, it's not political, all right? It's just an understanding that you have here. And so we do tend to be more environmental than people in a lot of other areas, but it's also, you know, bottom line, it's money. Because if we mess up this island, nobody's going to want to come here anymore, and we make most of our, you know, a large part of the income here is made off tourists, and tourists have to want to come here, right? So the whole culture feeds these concepts. They have, you know, reasons, everything from love and respect to money and power. It's all combined, and it's culture and politics. It's kind of melded together. So there you go. There's Bill's speech on helpfully covering some of these points for you from a rational viewpoint, because I know I get the questions about what's it like to live here. Again, paradise is a state of mind. It's not a state of the union. Hawaii is a state of the union, so it's a place like every other place that you'll be. And it has similar problems. It is a little different, and in my opinion, it's better than a lot of places I've been. Now, I don't say it's the best place in the U.S. or anything like that, but it is better than many places I've been for a variety of different reasons. If for no other reason, you don't have to have an ice scraper. You do not shovel snow when you live here. You can wear short pants almost every day of the year. Today, it is just about as cold as I have ever seen it here. And it was 68 degrees, folks. Yeah, I suppose you're laughing, right? So, despite the fact that we are a tropical island and we have coconuts at the shore all the way around, we also have snow caps on top of the mountains. They do melt in summer, but it's plenty cold up high. So depending on where you live, here in the town of Volcano at the National Park, they're around 4,000 feet up there. Pretty much everybody's got a wood stove in Volcano. Now, it's also tropical. It doesn't freeze. So it's kind of weird, you know, it's a strange type of climate where it's seldom very warm, but it's never very cold. It's just cool all the time. Anyway, there you have it. Aloha. Drop in to see me next time you're here in Hawaii. We'll talk story. Hang loose.